Well, hello. Here we are again with another Voice AI demo video. There's a few things going on here. Number one, the voice that you're hearing is my voice, but it's the AI modeled voice of Bob Doyle. This is based on maybe like 60 minutes of an audiobook that I read. I thought it was going to sound a lot more like me than this, but I mean, I guess I can sort of hear it in there. Now, the other thing I want you to note that this entire video that I'm hearing myself back in my headphones in like a 3.5 second delay, and yet I'm maintaining the ability to talk to you. I should probably turn down the volume a little bit, but it's full volume in my ear, making it extremely difficult. Now, here's what else is different about this particular demo. Since the last one, this is a brand new computer with a brand new CPU, a GPU. This is running a RTX 3090 with 24 gigs of RAM, right? VRAM on it. And so I was curious how it was going to affect the ability of this thing to be clear, basically, especially in the live mode. So I am recording in live mode right now. But there is a 3.5 second delay that is being compensated for in the broadcast software. That's why I have to hear it this way so that my lips will sync up. And during the course of this thing, sometimes that drifts, which is also kind of annoying as I change different voices. So I'm going to try and fix it all in post. You don't need to know any of this stuff. You're more curious about the voices, right? Okay, so we're just going to go through some of these, because there are literally thousands and thousands being added all the time. So we're going to go back to some of the old favorites, and then we'll just try some that I don't even know what they are, and you can just decide for yourself whether or not these are accurate. Again, with this, and this is a question that I've gotten several times, the dialects do not transfer with the voice model. So if you're hearing a UK accent or any other kind of an accent, a southern accent, whatever, that's me doing it in real time, and then it's impressing it upon that voice. The voice itself doesn't do it. And it says in the software that when you do this, you want to try and do your best impression of who you're doing. The other thing to keep in mind is that it can depend the how well it sounds when you say it, when you do it back, is where your voice is. Well, if you're talking way up here, you raise your voice. Some voices are better suited for that. And then if you talk in the middle like this, it's better suited. And then some are better suited if you're talking really low. And you just kind of have to play with it sometimes. So I'm listening back to this right now. So actually, I think I sound more realistic if I go low and use it. This sounds more like me. Hi, I'm Bob Doyle. You may remember me from such films as The Secret Goes to the Store. Remember me. Whenever I stumble and slur like that, it's because I'm hearing myself in my headphones, and it's really crazy. Maybe I'll play with turning down the headphone volume a little bit, so it's not quite as much. But I do want to hear how the voices are translating. All right, well, let's just take a look here. What we've got, these are the voices that I have done myself, and we're going to go to trained. So right now I have 127 trained, and let's just try if you had.
Hi, it's me. You know, me. Me Dejin, me Dejin, me Dejin. You know who it is. Hey, listen, I heard it through the grapevine that you might be interested in being on my show. Well, join the club. There's a long line outside of people who want to be on the show. Now, there's something you should know. Number one, the show isn't on anymore. But number two, you gotta be engaging. You gotta be interesting. You know, have you been on YouTube and captured the hearts and minds of thousands? Are you a cute little kid with a pudgy face who says extraordinary things? Do you have access to a sloth? If you don't have any of those things, and if you can't get my show back on the air, then I really don't think there's anything to talk about. Unless, of course, you'd like me to buy you coffee, which is not likely.
Let's talk about that coffee. I've had a lot of extraordinary coffee in my career. People have offered me coffee saying they got something that is better than the coffee that I am used to, but over and over again I find that the coffee that I make with my own special method is the best. It is exemplary in every way. I don't think anybody ever has argued that once they've tried it. Sometimes it's hard for me to get them to try it, mostly because of the meat chunks in there. But once they do, it's an extraordinary experience for all of them.
Did you say something about meat chunks? Because meat chunks in coffee, I got to say something right now. I got to get this off my chest, and I may be in the minority, but that sounds like the most extraordinary idea I've ever heard in my life, and I'm wondering if you have perhaps entertained the idea of mixing up some barbecue sauce in there putting say marinate the meat chunks. By the way, I love just saying meat chunks. Meat chunks. I think I had a dog named Meat Chunks at one time. I can't remember. It's been a long time since I had a dog named Meat Chunks. In any case, the Meat Chunk coffee is extraordinary with some barbecue sauce. Just come on down to Texas. We'll set you up big time.
I've had so much coffee in my career. I've had so much coffee because this is a podcast. I'm working hours you would not even believe, and I go back and forth between coffee's bad, coffee's good. I've had the bulletproof. I've had all the different kind of coffees. I've had black coffee, cream coffees. I've had all the coffee with the different kinds of milk and the whole thing. But meat chunk coffee is something I got to say that doesn't sound like something I'm going to try. But call it a fear factor. If you bring it to me, I'm going to do it.
The use of artificial intelligence in the animal kingdom has widely been overlooked by authorities, but it is everywhere. How is it that the lion knows how to have a mane? How is it that a giraffe knows to have his neck long? Obviously, these are not things that they could be born with. It's too crazy. It's got to be artificial intelligence, implanted by an alien species shaped like elephants wearing shorts with thongs. Not the underwear thong, but the full on their feet, elephant feet thongs, flip-flops, if you will. They're made of the special things that you get in the river after a kill.
Coffee has long been a staple in the morning routine of people all over the world, not just a phenomenon of the West. Coffee wakes people up from here to there, hither and yon. Now there's a new form of coffee that is sweeping the nations across the globe. And yes, the world is round. Meat chunk coffee. Sounds disgusting at first, but when you get used to it and get it past your tongue and swallow it on down, don't forget to chew them meat chunks. Otherwise, you just might choke, and nobody wants that. Unless, of course, there's a life insurance policy involved, and someone is the beneficiary who has their eye on your fortune. So choose your family and choose your friends. That's what Uncle Darren always used to say.
Don't come into my living room without meat chunk coffee. I believe I have made it totally clear about my beverage priorities. And I know that many of you are growing weary of hearing me talk on and on about meat chunk coffee. Can we move on to another bit, perhaps? Anything other than something that conjures up the images of red meat or perhaps the other white meat floating in a brown steaming liquid, followed by the image of someone enjoying it. I don't like it. I don't want to hear it. So please, please, let's move on.
Hello, I think my name is Jess, and I'm a female voice used for whatever you want the female voice used for, an announcer, a commercial, or whatever. But this is a good time to show off how the dialects translate or not. I'm just talking in my normal, neutral American voice, and so is she right now. But if I want her to be down from south like this, I can just start talking like this, and then she'll just do it, because that's what I demand of her, just like this. And it translates fairly well. However, if I'd like to put a little more posh, a little more glitz, a little more glamour, a little more... it's not even glitz and glamour, is it? This voice isn't indicative of glitz and glamour. It's more sort of luxury. It's sort of an elevated state of living that may or may not have glitz and glamour, but it may just be very... I think you'll get the idea. Now, the other thing it does is it has a singing mode. Right now, we're not in the singing mode. And let's just see if there's a difference, okay? And let's hope it doesn't crash the software when I change it. So let's just do a little something like, I need to, I see the moon sees me, the moon sees somebody I like to see. Okay. very difficult to do when you're hearing that back, especially to keep it on pitch. Now I'm going to go in here and I'm going to change it to singing mode, and we're going to see if there's any difference even as we speak. Is there anything that happens as I'm talking? Can you hear anything when I say, okay, so I switch it. Okay, here we go. I see the moon sees me, the moon sees somebody I like to see. I don't know, you tell me if there's any difference there. I'm going to switch it back to regular non-singing.
Now, I know I go back to this Jim Gaffigan voice like all of the time, but I gotta tell you, I think it's just because it's just so good. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's all those other voices. They'd like to be as good as this, but they're just not. Sometimes you act like they are. They come up to me and say, "Hey, Jim's voice, am I as good as your voice?" And I look at them with a smile and say, "No, you're not." And then they look hurt, so I have to just kind of pretend like I didn't mean what I said and said, "Oh, no, your voice is much better than mine," but we both know it's not.
Hello, dear. I'm Betty, and you owe me $60. Now, I know I'm unassuming, and you probably don't think I could mess you up, but let me tell you something. I've been around a while, and over the course of time, I've collected all sorts of weaponry, blunt objects mostly. And I may not look like much, but have you seen that Snickers commercial?
The next time you're walking down an old road hitchhiking to Arkansas, you might want to ask yourself, why am I going to Arkansas? What in the hell am I going to find there? I don't think there's really anything in Arkansas worth, unless I've got family. No, I got no family. I got no friends there. There's no opportunity for me there, and I just don't think there's any reason to keep walking down the street. Plus, it's raining, and it's, uncomfortable. My feet, I didn't wear, proper shoes for walking in the rain, so it would be so much better if I was thinking about how he might actually talk.
Hello, this is an open letter to John's Airlines. Dear John's Airlines, I think you suck. I'll never ever fly your airline again, unless, of course, you send me all of my money back, not just from your airline, but every flight I've ever taken in my life. Taken.
I know that when you walked into this room, you expected to have a very intense confrontation with me. That I would say something in a very low tone and in a intimidating fashion. Right now, I'm still looking for the right timbre, that place in my voice to land in on him. Do I need to go up a little, just the slightest bit? I'm doing it up a little bit. Or do I need to go down here and just say, I want you to look into my eyes and buy me some Doritos? There it is. I think it's down here. So let's try this again. Look at me. Look at me. You owe me a massage. And I know we've got a past. We've got things to talk about. But all of that comes after the massage. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about a massage for.
Hello. Whenever I'm feeling whimsical, I go down to Whimsiland. That's right. It's not pronounced Whimsyland. That would have been too easy. It has to be Whimsiland. And of course, when Whimsyland opened up not that long ago, it caused a lot of confusion. People were buying tickets for one, expecting the other. But the interesting thing is they're exactly the same. All the attractions are identical, the prices are identical, the food is identical. Actually, the employees at one get off work there, and they walk over and they do another shift at that place, the other place. So if you... but you get the idea. It seems like a big waste of money, but actually they all get along just fine. But still, Whimsyland and Whimserland. But anyway, I don't remember what my point was, but isn't it weird how things shake out sometimes?
I have something very important I need you to do. If you do not follow these instructions explicitly, millions will die. Are you ready to carry the weight of that burden? Yes? Good. Then let's begin. I want you to first put your right foot in. Then take your right foot out. I know you just put it in, but I want you to put it in, and then I want you to take it out, and then, and this is the important part, you are to shake it all about. Do the hokey pokey, then turn yourself around, and that is what it is all about. Oh, and I'm your father.
I've written a new screenplay. I'd like to run it past you. It's about two elves. One is... No, it's not elves at all. That was an old screenplay. One that was about two elves. But the one I'm talking about isn't about elves. It's about a guy who sells ceiling fans. It's long past its time, I know, but no one has been able to put the plot together like I have, and I'm so pleased with how we've got in the cast. Hugh Jackman plays Blade number 3, so perfectly cast. Wait till you see him. I play the guy who turns on the fan and says, wow, that Blade number 2 looks just like Hugh Jackman. It's a riveting film. I won't tell you the rest, because that was pretty much the whole thing. I believe I just said tell ya the rest. Tell you the rest. I won't tell you the rest.
The following was approved for release by the Central Intelligence Agency a while back. This is Section 26 of this particular document, calls quality of consciousness. We noted earlier that the out-of-body state involves projection of a major portion of the energy pattern that represents human consciousness, so that it may move either freely throughout the terrestrial sphere for purposes of information acquisition or into other dimensions outside of time and space, perhaps to interact with other forms of consciousness within the universe. So you can go check that out if you'd like.
And what sort of accent can I put on this man, who makes it more interesting to listen to so it doesn't seem so generic? Why does everyone have to be so specifically UK, like a wizard or something? This is sort of a blend of all sorts of nonsensical dialects, because I am not an expert in this area at all. It's always borderline offensive. Perhaps some of you are offended. You don't even know, and neither do I. What's going on?
So as you can see, this is just a small example of the incredible technology you can expect in the next iteration of whatever it is that we do. And believe you me, even though you think you may have heard it from somewhere else, I promise you we originated it here in our labs of stuff that we originate things in, and then we put it out there in the world, and then of course everyone thinks they did it, but we did it first, and we can prove it, but we're not going to, because we don't have to. We got other things that we've got to handle. I mean, really important things.
If I could find the meat chunk coffee guy, did I just say meat chunk? Let me say. Well, I may as well have. Let's start it over. I've got an idea for a show. After Soul Sunday Superstation, we're going to do a meat chunk coffee get-together, sit down with friends, and everyone's going to attend. Simply everyone except for you, because you can't, you can't just come over whenever you want. What if you could? That would be so weird for me.
Okay, so this sounds like it's a pretty clear voice with a good sample rate, and we'll just see what happens. Now, so what do I do with this voice? Now, what could I do with this voice? Let's say as a voiceover artist. Now, give me some copy for this. Nature. It's one of those things that's all around us, but sometimes we tend to take it for granted. I don't like what it did with nature. I heard it in my headphones because, like I say, I hear everything 3 seconds later than what I say. It's pretty crazily annoying. So what if I got into a loop? Like if I started right now to just repeat what I was hearing. So what if I got into a loop? Like if I started right now to just repeat what I was hearing. So what if I got into a loop? Like if I started right now, just repeat what I was hearing. So what if I got into, okay.
Yes, it is the guy in charge right now. The program here, the voice, he was kind enough to bring me some coffee. I was surprised to when the meat chunks were first in my mouth. I wasn't expecting them at all. I was just expecting normal coffee, so I thought maybe it was just curds. The cream had gone to Destin, Florida, which is nice this time of year, and with the beaches and the sunshine.
Plus, about a time there were 3 bears. They lived in a forest. They were out in there. They were just happy as could be, all cozy together. There was a big one and a medium-sized one and a little one. It's not important their ages or genders or anything, but they were out there. And there was one day that this girl, a little girl in a hood, a riding hood, it was red, would come and knocked on the door, and payment was eaten by a wolf. So I believe there's a lesson there, but I couldn't tell you exactly what it was.
Sometimes I wander through the woods, for just looking for some meaning for life. I look over and I see a honey pot, and I think, oh, that looks good. I think I'll go over there and dip my paw in it because honey is one of my favorite things ever. So I go over there and I put the paw in the pot, and it's not honey. It's some sort of acid, and it's burning the fur on my hand relentlessly. So I think I learned a lesson.
If you're looking at the economic downturn that we have experienced over the next the last week, if you're looking back on the economics, if you've got some economic downturn that you're going to look upon, I was going to trickle down, and then, but if you wipe it with a cloth.
Hi, it's me. I'm some sort of dog character from some cartoon that most people probably know, but I don't because it's just something I don't do. Watching cartoons and whatnot, because you see, I'm 57 years old. They just look like something I should know, you know. But anyway, what am I doing? What are you doing? Okay, I need to come up with something to say. Hi, would you like to buy this mechanical thing? It's a mechanical thing that puts things together mechanically, and it's a thing. That's why we call it a mechanical thing. That's a trademark tool, the name. It's a now I screwed up my presentation. Oh, that's okay, Mr. Wilson. You don't have to do anything because I screwed it all up and I needed to be perfect. And I don't want you to just no, put that $1,000 bill away.
Well, it looks like you got here just in time, Mr. Simpson. I bet a lot of people make fun of your name, don't they? Because of, you know, the Simpsons and whatnot. I won't, though, Mr. Simpson, though it is, oh, so tempting. Because of all the things I just said. Like, they might say something like, how's Marge? And, I'm sure you get that all the time, so I won't do it. Bart and Lisa and little Maggie, who shot Mr. Burns, am I right? Okay, well, anyway. Mr. Simpson, about your funeral arrangements.
And now there's all these fancy coffees. You can't just go in and say, have like a regular coffee now. You got to do the vent and the thing and the tall and the who's that. But, you know, and then the flavors. Like meat chunk, for example. Could be meat, could be chunk. Meat chunk.
So you order a cup of coffee, and it comes to you cold, and you pour it out on the counter and say, look at this, and there's meat chunks in it. I didn't order meat chunk coffee. And they say, yes, you did. And I say, I stand corrected.
I really don't know how to do this guy's voice. He's too Brooklyn. He's too or something. He's whatever his accent is. It's not something I have. I don't know how to. I'm going to do. Actually, sounds like Joe Dispenza if you listen to it.
So they came to me with a new film project. I'm considering it. I don't know if it's a wise move. They want me to do lead-based man. I thought, well, maybe it's repetitive doing Iron Man. But they say, well, it's completely different. This is lead-based man. And so, of course, I ask him, is he totally lead? And they say, no, he's just lead-based. So I'm looking, you know, Iron Man, lead-based man, totally different thing. So I'm contemplating it. I think it's probably the next best. It's not in many of the well-known universes. I think lead-based man is going to be one of the first, like a pioneer hero in this new universe.
Oh no, this is Ewan McGregor, and I don't know how he talks either. I don't know. Perhaps I need to go lower, or perhaps I need to go higher. Or maybe I just should move on because I clearly don't know what to do.
It's your father's meat chunk coffee. He wanted you to have it when you were old enough. It's delicious and nutritious, and it will mess you up. It's got all sorts of force stuff in it, and meat and force meat. It's got force meat cut into force chunks. And there, you will drink it, and you will never know the pleasures of its likeness ever again. Anyway, he betrayed and murdered your father. Who did? The coffee man. No, I'm lost. I'm sorry.
Hi, it's me. I got this little tiny voice, and I'm going to sell you some batteries. Why? Because everything needs batteries, my friend. 888-9 full. Not as many D-volts, but it's still a thing. I mean, you know, if you got old toys from the 70s, that's going to be D-batteries, and I got 12 of them. That's right. And they're only $16 a piece, and that's a bargain, because good luck finding them from the 70s. Now, I can't guarantee they're going to work, because what are they, 40, 50 years old now? But still, the envy of all your friends and all that stuff, maybe.
All right, well, this is called the smooth, calm voice. And I figure we'll just leave it right here, because there are, of course, hundreds and hundreds, literally thousands more of these voices. I could go on all day. But I'm going to stop right here with this smooth, calm voice, because I can't think of any reason not to stop right here, because